having high cholesterol fat, because as you can see, the more cholesterol you have, the more that sticks, and then what's worse is the cholesterol sticks to itself too. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and actually cholesterol can even cause even a little bit more cuts on here because it's just growing, it's just causing all this inflammation on the inside of your arteries. So that's why having high cholesterol is bad for the inside of your arteries. So let's talk about cholesterol. We've all heard a lot about cholesterol. Eat eggs, don't eat eggs. Good cholesterol, bad cholesterol. High cholesterol, low cholesterol. Like, it's kind of confusing, and there's still a lot of research out there about what it is. But right. But we still give it to people all the time. Right.
Sorry.
So, we're going to talk about cholesterol. Cholesterol is, oh yeah, those are bad for your heart because they damage your arteries. Okay, I like my cholesterol. So cholesterol is actually good for you. You need cholesterol. Your body needs it. It helps repair cells. It does hormone synthesis, bile production, brain function, manufactures vitamin D. You need cholesterol. Fortunately, God made our bodies so that your liver will produce all the cholesterol you need. You don't need to make sure you get your daily value of cholesterol in. Your body will produce cholesterol on its own. The problem is that we also eat a lot of cholesterol and a lot of fatty foods in our body, so we have plenty of it around. So, but your body really will make all the cholesterol you need all by itself. So, what makes cholesterol good cholesterol or bad cholesterol? Well, cholesterol is made out of fat, and your water is mostly blood. So if you've ever mixed like oil and water together, what happens? They separate. So your blood isn't going to carry it around very good by itself. So what your body makes is these little carriers for cholesterol, and they're called lipoproteins. And there's two main types of lipoproteins. There's the LDL, the low-density lipoproteins, and the HDL. The low-density lipoproteins are the bad ones because they are big, they are sticky, and and they're fat. But their initial purpose is to bring cholesterol to your cells, which is good. You want a certain amount of LDLs in your body because you need cholesterol brought to the different cells in your body. But when you have too much of them, they keep floating around in your system, and they're like kids that don't have enough to do. If you don't have enough for them to do, they get in trouble. So that's what all these extra cholesterols do. They just start sticking places where they're not supposed to stick, and that's why you don't want so much of this bad cholesterol. But now, what is this good cholesterol thing? Well, what good cholesterol is it's HDL. They're high density. They're heavy, and what they do is they go through your arteries, and now my little thing didn't work very well. So these are the HDLs. They go through and kind of pick up some of these bad cholesterols and clean out your arteries. So you want lots of those, because you want as many of those going through your blood as possible to pick up some of those arteries, pick up some of that bad cholesterol. Now, does it do it just like that? Not really, but it's more like, not exact science, but somewhat. It's not going to like, oh, now my arteries are going to get cleaned out. Like, it's not necessarily, but it does lower the bad cholesterol in your blood the more good cholesterol you have. So you want lots of the good cholesterol and not as much of the bad cholesterol. So whatever you can do to get your good cholesterol up, you want to do. So we're going to talk about, and this is the cholesterol levels that they want you at. They want your total cholesterol level to be under 200, and they want your low-density cholesterol levels to be under 130. Now, I'm diabetic, so I already have like a heart problem, or not a problem, but so they want my cholesterol levels even lower because then I have even less sugar. And then they want your HDL above 45, and the higher the better.
What did you say, LDL?
LDL, less than 130.
Okay.
My mom came back to the doctor and she was like, "Oh, my cholesterol is high."
Mine too.
Yeah, it was like 205 or something. And that's a little bit high. But she broke it down for me. Her LDLs were like 123, but her HDLs were in the 80s. So I actually said, or 90 or so. They were high, which it's actually good. She had a lot of the good cholesterol. So her total cholesterol number in that sense really wasn't a huge concern because her good cholesterol was the number that was driving it up so much. So sometimes that's why sometimes doctors will be like, oh, don't worry about that number, worry about just this number. But depends who your doctor is, depends how you present it, depends what your cholesterol is, I suppose. But that's, so sometimes you can have a high total cholesterol, but really it's actually good because you have a lot of good cholesterol around. But so how do you get lots of good cholesterol and not so much bad cholesterol? Well, the number one way to that's the next slide, to raise your good cholesterol is exercise. Exercise is the best way to raise your good cholesterol. I know, and sometimes cholesterol is just a finicky thing that's care to, but
It's in the genes.
it is in the genes. Yeah.
The Dutch genes.
Years of potatoes and butter.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah. The blubber.
So that exercise is the best way to raise your good cholesterol. But also another thing that can happen is you can do some diet modification to help get good cholesterol versus bad cholesterol. And like you said, some people are just stuck with high cholesterol. It seems like no matter what they do, it's just going to stay high. But these do make a difference. Now, fat is what cholesterol is made out of. So the types of fat and the amount of fat we eat has an effect on our cholesterol levels. So we're going to talk about two types of fat. So first we're going to talk about saturated fat. Now I gave some people little pictures of foods. I didn't have enough for it, but who thinks they're holding a saturated fat? Let's see. Yep, we got lard. Just straight lard. Yep, that's saturated. Bacon. A Burger King triple-decker bacon. Not just the double-decker, just the triple. We got steak, Ritz crackers. This one's interesting, for sure. You're right, okay.
Oh, Ritz crackers?
They're not that bad for you, but this, I'll talk about why this is interesting a little bit later. Yes, a frozen coffee from Dunkin' Donuts. And this is also interesting, we'll talk about them later. And then just pure lard, which is actually just pure fat. Kind of like butter, just, so those are all examples. Now, one thing you notice about these all, if they're at room temperature, are they watery or are they hard? Like bacon, yeah, they're all hard. So let's talk about, not that that matters a lot, but it's a good way to figure out what a saturated fat is sometimes because they're hard at room temperature. And we'll talk about why. So this is the molecular structure of a saturated fat. So fats are made out of a lot of different things, but a lot of it is carbon, which are these purples, and hydrogens, which are these yellows. So this is a saturated fat because every possible purple thing that's open has a hydrogen on it. So it's saturated with hydrogen. So that's why you get the word saturated. And also, if you notice these, you can stack them all right next to each other, really close like that. And that's why they're hard at room temperature, like butter, because they can stack right next to each other like that. And I kind of like to think of that's kind of what it does on the inside of your arteries too, but not exactly. It's not like you eat bacon and it goes straight to your arteries, but it does raise your bad cholesterol, which goes straight to your arteries. So that is why. So it stacks in there like that. Like if you pour bacon grease down a drain, what does it do? Sticks to the drain. Kind of the same thing it does to your arteries in a very indirect sort of way. So it stacks in there like that. So that's a saturated fat. Why are saturated fats bad? Well, they raise your cholesterol. And they raise your bad cholesterol more than they raise your good cholesterol. So that's why they say you should limit them. And that's why they say they're bad for your heart. Because, well, they raise both cholesterols, they raise the bad cholesterol more. So, are they horrible? Should you have some in your diet? Yeah, you should have some in your diet, but not to overdo it is the key, yeah?
Does sugar turn into fat, they say?
It does, yep. When your body, if you eat too much sugar, your body stores it as
I
fat.
have a lot of dessert.
I know, me too. I did. I think I did cheesecake. They were so good. It does, and so that's why, like, if you eat a low-fat diet, sometimes those foods are really high in sugar. Your body stores them as fat anyways, and that sugar, that's a whole nother thing, but it's a good question because my brother's in med school and I was kind of asking him what like the latest is on nutrition. He said they're really emphasizing like, yeah, you should eat fat, they should eat the good fat, but really watch all the processed sugars because those are causing more problems than anything else that are nowadays. So good question because I asked him that the processed sugars are like, right, it is, yeah. So now we'll go to unsaturated fats. Who thinks they're holding a picture of an unsaturated fat? We've got salmon, nuts, avocado. Yep. I'm not sure if I had more out there or not. And I have a little cheat sheet back. Yep. Olive oil. Good. It has some saturated fat. Yeah, I know.
Alcohol.
I know. You can't eat this out. Sure.
You're in church now.
Yeah, I know. Right? We ended out here. So let's look at the structure of olive oil and why it's good for you. So, what do you have here? You still have your carbon. You got your purple carbon, and you've got your hydrogen. But one thing you notice about this one is that there's not as many hydrogens on here as there are in here. So it's unsaturated. It's not saturated with hydrogen. And another thing is the way these are on here then, it causes the molecules to bend like this. And that's why these are liquid at room temperature, because they can't stack all next to each other super nice. It's just the structure of them won't let them do that. And for some reason that appears to be much better for your health. These unsaturated fats raise your good cholesterol and lower your bad cholesterol. So these, you want to make sure you have them in your diet because they're good fats for you. Now, do you need a ton of them, like 3,000 calories of them each day? No, but these are, if you're going to have fats in your diet, you want like these kinds. So that's what those are. I mean, it's a good example. Okay, so now we'll talk about trans fats, because everybody's been talking about those lately. They're hard to find nowadays in the store. They don't have many of them anymore, but we'll talk about what they were. One of the best examples of a trans fat is Crisco, which is, or margarine, made like 15 years ago, when I was growing up. Those, because nowadays they took the trans fats out. But the reason, so for the longest time they said, these are good for your heart. You should eat them. Like, they're better than butter for you. So we all, like, I put them in cookies all the time growing up. So what did they do that made us think that they were good for us? Okay, what the industry did is that if you're going to make a pie, you can't make it with vegetable oil. You need butter, or you need Crisco, or you need something more solid like that. So what these industries did, they wanted to make all these processed foods very easily and quickly and cheaply. So they took vegetable oil, which is unsaturated, so it's like this, and they're like, okay, we're just going to put it under a couple chemical reactions. We're going to heat it up really hot. We're going to turn this here, turn this here. Okay, perfect. We're going to add one more hydrogen, and this is where the word partially hydrogenated comes from. And now, there, it's solid at room temperature, and it's not saturated. See, this one has, see how that one's full of hydrogens? Well, this one's only got 4 hydrogens, so it's still an unsaturated fat. So that's why for the longest time they said, oh, it's good for you, margarine's good for you because it's unsaturated, but the way they made it turned out to be worse for you. A, it has the same molecular structure as the saturated fat, and B, it's actually worse for you because it raises your bad cholesterol and it lowers your good cholesterol. Whereas saturated fats raise your bad cholesterol, but at least they don't lower your good cholesterol, you know. So these just turn out to be awful for your heart. And it appears to be because they've been processed and they've been man-made and they're not natural, and that seems to be the bad part about them. So in some countries they're actually illegal now, like Denmark. Right, and they really have taken them out of a lot of foods now because they're just so bad for you, and people have heard this, and they're not going to buy foods that are high in trans fat. So I went to the store the other day, and I was trying to look for a food that had a lot of trans fat in it, and I really couldn't find one anymore. Like, even the margarines they're making now aren't as high, they're not made out of this trans fat. So you really want to stay away from anything that says partially hydrogenated, though, because it's kind of the same thing. And the reason they call it trans fat, because in science, this is called a trans bond, how this is. Whereas if it's a different kind of double bond, they call it something else. So that's why it's got the name trans fat. But there's still some, oh, I have to go to my next. Oh, yeah. So that's why I have this up, because trans fats are kind of like the wolf that dressed up like the grandmother. They kind of flew under the radar of being unsaturated, but they're really quite awful for you, like big bad wolf, kind of. I found that picture on that stuff, not funny. So, you are holding Ritz crackers, and you are holding a Dunkin' Donuts drink or whatever. And there's a hamburger from Burger King. Those are the only things I could find that they still had trans fats in them. Actually, the Dunkin' Donuts coffee drink has the most trans fats of anything. which is surprising to me. I thought, oh, I didn't know that. But that's like a really high sugary one anyways. But what they have been doing that I noticed, because if you look at the Ritz cracker box, it says trans fat 0. And they can put that on there because they only have 0.49 grams of trans fat in there, so it's less than half of 1, so it's closer to 0 than it is 1, so they can put 0 on there. And I'm not sure if they've maybe changed it now since I looked at some of the internet, but like that, and pretty much, and so it's hard to know, like how are you supposed to know then? Like you read the nutrition label, how are you supposed to know what things have trans fat in them and what don't? Like I can even tell, when I looked at that label, I thought, oh, it's trans fat free, there's no trans fats in here. Or if it says 0 milligrams trans fat. So the best way to go is to try not eat processed foods, because as soon as they process them, they're doing something to them that's not natural, and so your body's going to do things to it that aren't natural. So,
No, it's only them, those crackers? Or?
no, other crackers too.
Other
Actually,
crackers
saltines, which don't even taste that good, you know?
They don't.
No, they have a little bit of trans fat in them. I looked on a lot of things just have a tiny bit, and they may have taken them out now completely, but when I looked, this was probably about like a website that was probably like a year old, so maybe they've changed it since then, but as of that, they still have a little bit in all these things.
Oh gosh, I think I'm just going to stop eating.
I know, right? It's easier, right? There you go, right. Yep, and so the more natural foods you can eat, the better off you are. Just, what was I watching? The cardiologist was giving a whole thing on there. She's like, eat foods that your great-grandmother would recognize. She's like, not even grandma, we even need to go great-grandmother, like whole foods, like, not necessarily organic, I'm not saying that at all, just like, you know, a cherry instead of cherry pie filling, or, you know, something like that. Or
vegetables.
right, and like really, lard and butter are very natural things. They're better to use than some artificially man-made sort of thing. They are making some butters now that are like cut with canola oil. And that's fine. Those are both natural things. They're just putting them together, that sort of thing. But
I sort of scrape it out.
right, yeah, and it's actually good because the canola oil is an unsaturated fat, and then so you're getting the good consistency of the butter that you want, but you're still getting some of the benefits of the unsaturated fat. So, let's see where I'm walking.